Most people think that $1 million in retirement savings is the finish line. They assume that once they hit that number, everything else just kind of takes care of itself and retirement would just work. But in reality, that way of thinking is exactly what gets people into trouble later on. Because whether or not $1 million dollars is enough has very little to do with the number itself and a lot more to do with how that money actually functions once you stop working. In this video, I want to walk you through a different way of looking at this. Not just whether $1 million is enough, but how to actually answer that question for your specific situation. Because once you understand what really drives the outcome here, you start to realize that number itself is only a small piece of the overall equation. And more importantly, be back to see very quickly whether you're on track or not to retire and enjoy life long term. Let's start with number one, understanding why I believe the question most people ask about retirement savings could actually be the wrong place to start. When people ask, is $1 million dollars enough? What they're really doing is looking for a universal answer to a very personal question. And the truth is, there just isn't one clear answer in all these situations. I've seen people retire comfortably on significantly less than $1 million, and others struggle with far more. The difference almost never comes down to that actual size of the portfolio. It comes down to whether that money is actually structured to support their lifestyle. Because retirement doesn't operate on a lump sum sitting in an account, it actually operates more on your lifetime retirement income, what you can actually spend month after month without putting yourself at risk later on. So, number two, it starts with your life, not your money, which is one of the biggest mistakes I see in retirement planning, is that people start with their investments instead of looking at their lifestyle. They look at their accounts, their balances, their returns, and try to work backwards from there. When in reality, the starting point should probably be much simpler and needs to begin with a few key questions, such as what does your life actually cost? What does a normal month of spending look like for you? What do you want to spend on bigger things like travel, gifts to your family, or other things that matter specifically to you? Because once you have clarity on these things, everything else has something to anchor back to. Without that clarity, you're not really planning, you're sort of just estimating. So, number three, there's one calculation that really changes everything. At the center of this conversation, there's really just one number that matters more than anything else, and that's what we call the retirement income gap. It's simply the difference between what's coming in through things like Social Security, pensions, maybe rental income, maybe income from an annuity, or other key sources, and what you actually need to spend each month. That gap is what your retirement investments need to cover every year. Not just once, not just twice, this year, next, but over your overall retirement. So once you know that number, you can begin to calculate something that's even more important. The key calculation is to understand what your withdrawal rate is in retirement. In other words, what percentage of your portfolio do you need to withdraw each year to make your plan work? That single number tends to reveal very quickly whether you're in a strong position or whether something may need to be adjusted. So, number four, understanding where the $1 million assumption tends to break down. This is where a lot of people start to see the disconnect. You've probably heard of the withdrawal rate rule known as the 4% rule, and this is a good general guideline, but it's a useful starting place, not an endpoint. The problem that most people never actually connect is they don't connect this back to their actual own situation. They hear a number like $1 million, they assume that automatically translates into retirement security for them. But if your lifestyle maybe is requiring $70,000 or $80,000 a year, then depending upon what your liquid assets are, that math could really get tight very quickly. What initially feels like could be a comfortable margin, given that you have $1 million saved for retirement, could turn into something very fragile that's not monitored over time. Not because you made a mistake, but because the plan was never fully built around how that money would actually be used. So it brings us to number five. It's not just about how much you withdraw, it's about how you do it. And even with numbers that look reasonable on surface, there are still a number of variables that could significantly impact this overall outcome. And really, at the end of the day, I know this is one we often think about, but taxes are a big one in retirement. Understanding where your income is coming from, whether it's taxable accounts, retirement accounts, or Roth assets, can make a major difference in how much you actually get to keep. The timing of Social Security matters dramatically. The order in which you withdraw from different accounts and their tax impact really matters over the long term. And your investment strategy plays a key role in all of this. So, what I've seen over and over again is that two people, very similar portfolios, could end up in very different positions long term simply because one plan was coordinated and integrated and the other plan was not. Which brings us to number six, the real shift that retirement requires. So, for most of your life, the goal was to build, to save more, to invest more, to grow the portfolio over time. Retirement flips that entire equation around. Now the question becomes, how do you turn what you've built into reliable, sustainable income without getting this wrong? Because it's such a vital part of your long term plan. And that's where structure becomes so important. Random withdrawals or reacting to the markets just year by year or even quarter by quarter tends to create a lot of uncertainty. What works better, and much, much better, is having a true system in place, an integrated system that layers different income sources together in a way that supports your lifestyle, regardless of what the market is doing in the short term. So, is the $1 million enough to retire? Well, when you step back and look at all of this, the answer will become a lot clearer. It's not just a yes and it's not just a no. It truly is a depends. It depends on your income gap, your withdrawal rate, and how well all the pieces of your plan are working together. Understanding, coordinating how well all these pieces of your plan are working together is one of the keys for your long term success in retirement because two people, exact same $1 million, could have completely different retirement outcomes. One feels very confident and in control. One is constantly anxious and second guessing and having second thoughts about retirement and really, unfortunately, whether they're going to be okay. So if you've never had someone walk through how all of this works together, these various pieces of the puzzle fit together in one specific situation for you, that's exactly what we build and do for clients at Cornerstone Wealth Planning. You can click the link in the description below to schedule a call. We'll walk you through how all this would apply to you so you can move forward with full clarity and confidence towards retirement. And finally, I'll leave you with one key thought. A number by itself doesn't create security, but a plan that's built around your life, designed to produce reliable income over time. That's what actually makes retirement work. So book your call now. We can get your retirement on the right track. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.